Jax, what up, Motive? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I just look up, I see. What is up, y'all? It's been a whole week. How we living life? How was our week? What are we? How we starting our
It was
happy
a good
time?
week.
How we starting our happy time? What made us happy this week?
Who going first?
I'll go.
Yay.
Yes, Motive. Sexy human beings all around.
Shout out
I see
to
you.
Derek Chauvin being in jail. Fuck you.
Yes.
Shout out, shout out. You mean my wife, Jax? You mean my wife? Yes. Shout out to my cute ass wife, Zebe. Yes. Shout out to my wife. The fuck? How you coming into my chat talking about my cute ass? My wife? Yes. Weird flex, Jax. But yes, shout out to Chauvin being found guilty. Can I just say, like, I know this is supposed to be happy time, but can I just say how nervous I was? Like, I could laugh about it now because we all heard guilty, but I was shooketh. I was so like.
The riots were ready.
Right.
And the police were too, with their little banners and everything. They were ready for the riot.
Right.
I'm still like, despite all the evidence, all the evidence we still had, I'm like, I don't know, fam. I don't know. I'm
I mean,
scared.
there's a lot of criticism wondering if we would have gotten this verdict had it not been for like the very real and bigger threat of how the city would have reacted to a not guilty charge. Because a lot of people are like, well, that was the case with other ones, and they still didn't let them,
Yeah.
charge. But I'm like, it's a little bit different because Minneapolis had 3 deaths all within what, like 4 miles of each other, and within the last 2-3 years of each other. So it's like that was a particular powder keg.
Facts, Jax.
That
Facts, Jax.
what
Jack said they were ready. Some places were boarded up near just in case. And I'm like, you're not wrong. Definitely. But I'm like, so like that was definitely on. I feel like that made us all very happy to finally feel like we got some semblance of justice. I feel like that counts for all of us as our happy.
definitely a big part.
Because I'm like, that definitely is a step in the right direction. We still got a long ways to go, but definitely headed in the right direction because I was very much like, I was on the phone and I hollered. I was like, thank you, sweet baby Jesus of Nazareth. Thank you, because I was not sure.
Either way, I was gonna clock out of work and just be like, I'm done for the day.
Not clock out. I'm done.
And I definitely did. I'm done. I'm calling in my black car vacation. I can't.
I feel that. 1,000%. In addition to that, was there anything else that made us happy this week?
My locks.
Yay!
Looking good.
I finally got them back.
No, she is not in her Willow Smith. Live it out here. Out with my hair back and forth. Out with my hair back and forth.
Girl, I look at myself in the face multiple times every day.
You don't need a chiropractor yet?
These knees, though. These knees.
You was dropping it low, girl. Drop it low, girl.
I was dropping. I was actually dropping and not getting back up. But that's not. That's not the point. The point is my good 10 minutes. I got my locks, okay.
Yeah.
And now I'm in like hotel prison.
No. Motive, what made you happy this week? Jax, what made you happy this week? Zay Kuchiki? Good news?
I ordered my SD card and my new camera bag. for my brand spanking new camera that my lovely sissy got me. Very
Him
cool
about to
app.
be a full photographer.
Yes. I'm trying to dance like Motive. No, wait, he does. I can't do what you do. This is all I got for you, Motive. Motive, you have to give me like a Motive approved move that I could do because I don't know what you got. But yeah, I see you, Ruizy. We're sharing what made us happy this week. So tell us what made you happy this week. Yes, that's dope. That's dope. That's dope. That's dope. Say, what made you happy this week?
So yeah, she basically said what you said didn't count. So you got to come up with the
See,
That wasn't a personal. That was the everybody won that one.
I mean, Flex, it's been a rough week for Thug, but
I feel that.
That's real.
That's real.
but I will say this: I got some free food the other day.
Ooh, yes, for the free comida.
Good.
So that was a vibe.
That's it.
Amazing. It's great because it was extra special good.
Free food is a lit. I love it. I love it. I love it. So what made me happy this week is that today I watched the final episode to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and it was everything. It was everything. Oh wait, Jax is here. Lord.
Ajax popped up like a straight narc. Like,
Facts.
freeze, motherfuckers, I'm here.
Ajax got me messing up my whole scene. Hold on. Let me fix this. Now she got my big ass head. Jax!
Did you mean that? She meant that.
Jax! Basically, that's exactly what just did. She kicked in the door waving the 4-4. Like, shit. Yeah, so I got to live my life with the final episode, and then we got confirmation that there will be a Captain America 4. Bless you, Marvel. Thank you for giving us the goods. Thank you. And to represent Plata, how you like me now, I'm rocking my Captain America. I should have been rocking my Black Than America shirt, but it's all right. Shout out to you, Isaiah Bradley. Y'all should go peep that. Go watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus. If you ain't got it, we could do a watch party in Nerverse. My mod, can you exclamation point Discord in the chat right quick for those that are not already in the server and would like to watch that with us? Boom. Shameless plug. Speaking of shameless, let's talk cancel corner. Since we finna talk about some classics, you know, sometimes things is classic. You know, sometimes they don't age that well. And I was thinking, you know, I used to really like Grease. And then I was thinking about the lyrics, you know, that tell me more, like did he have a car? But then there's one where they like, tell me more, did she put up a fight? And I'm like, wait. Holla. Why is that the lyric? And then when you think about the movie in its entirety, about like a chick that met this guy, and she was like, I'm a really good girl, and he's like, I'm a really bad guy, and she's like, yeah, but I like you, and he's like, I only like you in private, and she's like, I'm gonna change my whole person to be with you, and then happily ever after? What? I don't know that that's a good thing. So personally, I feel like cancel. Help. I want to love it because I love musicals, but
I ain't got a bone in this race because I never fully liked Grease to begin with.
You never even liked Grease? Okay, fam. That's a whole other. Twitching Goddess, I got you on a stretch.
I liked the Grease was when the girl found out she might be pregnant, and she was walking with her notebook in her hand and singing. That was it. Everything
That's
else.
the thing you like. When Shorty was knocked up, you like, yes, be pregnant in the 50s.
She wasn't
What?
even pregnant.
Rizzo? You didn't stand for Rizzo?
Rizzo was a real bitch. Okay?
Stockard Channing?
Okay.
You
Rizzo was
didn't
a real
live for Stockard? I lived for that whole movie my whole childhood. And then I got older and my rose-colored glasses was like, wait a minute. This is type problematic. And I didn't know how to process this.
I'm extra special quiet today. Grease is troublesome. Some of the things are very troublesome, but Frankie Valli on the track goes hard. I'm not even gonna flag. So
Right? You just like, ooh, can I like it in private?
Grease is the word.
What up, Noah? Like, is it okay? So we got to break this down. So, one, is it a classic?
Yes.
Definitely.
Does it get canceled though?
See, I feel like it's hard to. You're going down a slippery slope if you start canceling everything from the past because we have finally realized and are holding a different standard than what we used to when the art itself was created. I think trying to cancel them actually does a disservice because part of our growth is seeing these things and being able to call them out and not let them have the influence that we used to. If we start making them act like they never happened, then what do we use as the example of what not to do, of what is not okay?
I'm not saying cancel it like it never happened, but like cancel it as in like we don't idolize this as like this was great, this is such a great story. Because I feel like that's how people used to look at like, oh my God, this is such a, I love Grease. But why do you love Grease?
But see, that's your way of canceling it. Most people, when they're thinking about cancel, they're like, nah, it's like it didn't exist. We never show it. It never, and I'm just like, that might actually do more harm than good, But I'm all for like not idolizing it as some kind of blueprint to appropriate behavior because it's not. So I'm all for that. But like for the people who feel like cancel culture is like, yes, we don't even talk about it. It's so removed from, we never reference it again in pop culture. I'm like, I'd be doing a disservice. Like the part of the history of, getting to a point where sexual assault and rape culture and all these other things are not the norm is examining the things that made it normal in the first place.
Okay.
And as to add to that, I think we have to like examine why the storytellers decided to pick that specific story, the way that they tell that story, and using the characters that they use. Were they just trying to make a quick buck? And did they really give a crap about the fact that we were talking about like the 1950s, where that was the thing that was actually happening? Like, what was their motivation behind it? I would agree that like it definitely doesn't make sense to cancel like and wipe it off the map completely. But I guess to both of y'all's point, like y'all are both correct. Like when we were younger, we watched Grease and it was just like happy-go-lucky, haha, the music is great. But like now that we're older and we can actually pay attention to what's happening in the story, like our perception just changed, and we can cancel the old way that we used to look at Grease, but this new way where it's like, oh, this is definitely problematic because the 50s were problematic. Got it. Okay.
Got you.
Like
that part. Yeah. So basically, I can still rock out to Beauty School Dropout. That's what I heard.
Yeah, I mean,
Vegas like
you're not advising little girls to do what Sandy did. I think you're fine.
Right.
Got you.
And there are other lessons.
I'll give them credit for being like super musically talented, not the best acting, but like the stuff was fun enough that you ignore the fact that none of those people look like they're in high school. Right. Like not one person.
Not a single person. But shout out to John Travolta with that comb, boy. He was slick. He was slicking it, yo. But I wanted to punch Kaneki every chance I had. Like I wanted to really fight Kaneki. Nat says, what about Streetcar Named Desire? I don't have a comment. I never saw it. Shut up. Don't judge me.
Don't know that movie.
We can't do that?
That movie.
Jack says, I can enjoy the movie. I'm gonna enjoy my movie and just
And so,
not sing the
sorry.
problematic lyrics.
To go back to Nat, like nothing with Brando is allowed to be canceled. I'm just letting y'all know that right now.
Facts, man.
Not
And that's on Mary.
Damn, I'm telling you.
What about Looney Tunes? Because is Looney Tunes a classic? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes, no.
Yes.
Looney Tunes classic. Okay.
We're not.
Well, some of them is classic. Hold on, not everybody gets like a free pass to classics. Some of them
Okay.
are forgettable, and some of them,
Okay.
you know.
Okay. And then like they was trying to cancel some people, some things, you know. Jax.
What they should have. The time Looney Tunes, I feel like has passed. Like if you was really gonna cancel them, you should have canceled them when we were young and they was putting certain episodes on TV that we was like. There is no reason why y'all talking about now that's canceling them when most of the kids of the generation come up don't even really watch something like that now. Now it's all about TikTok and all that other stuff. But when it was time to watch TV in our generation, they should have canceled it. But now it's like, all right, y'all kind of dragging it a little bit. But that's just my opinion.
Okay, Motive brought up a good, and so did Nat. Animaniacs, Dragon Ball was on cancel talk as well. Those two. Animaniacs, I feel like falls into the same category as Looney Tunes. Like they have their time. Like right now, they're not super influential. See, I guess for me, there's like different types of classic. There's the timeless classic where it's like Grease is still something you can absolutely enjoy, and then there are the very timed classics where they were classics. And then over time, it's like next, they're classic for the time period they were there, and then it's just it doesn't last. I don't feel like you can cancel it necessarily because who's looking at Animaniacs and is like, yes, I'm gonna take life lessons from this.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck y'all. I was taking life lessons from the Animaniacs. Like I was definitely trying to be died.
That was a move. That was a whole ass move. Every tomboy that was hanging around a bunch of boys but wanted to be all in the mix and you was not going to deny her, that was a move. So.
Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. Shout out to Desirable Bottom and That Fool Noah and Beezy Bees for loving on the channel while y'all watch this show. Appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry. Carry on. I just had to love on them thickly right quick. My bad.
But I forgot what move. He said, what did he say? He said Dragon Ball. I don't know if Dragon Ball is considered a classic. So, like, it was definitely a very popular anime.
I literally just watched my first episode of Dragon Ball yesterday, so I don't know.
Okay, so I really did watch like Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball, like little things, except for the most recent one, and I've never even touched the live action because I wasn't doing it. Like I'm just simply not.
You're not a true fan.
I am
true
because
fans
I
would have
didn't
suffered.
watch that train wreck. But Dragon Ball, I'm just like it's in a very weird space because some people are like, yes, it started out as an anime, but the Dragon Ball that everyone was familiar with was more cartoon than it was anime. And then it's just like, I mean, if we're talking about the content, was it toxic or is it worth getting canceled? I don't think so. It was a fighting show.
Well, Jax does say that DBC is definitely a classic, though. I don't know that we're arguing that it needs to be canceled, but definitely ranks as a classic. So it's definitely top tier classic material.
I think it was very popular. I wouldn't consider it classic. I consider Death Note. If we're talking about anime, I'm considering Death Note, Bleach, things like that.
Bleach.
I'm not.
You think those are more classic than Dragon Ball?
I mean,
DBZ was one of those things where it's like people used it as gatekeeping for anime, but like real anime watchers didn't give a fuck about DBZ. Like it was cool, but ain't nobody really. It was too, I don't want to say Americanized, but it was too mainstream, right, to fit into the category that we're trying to put it in, specifically towards an anime classic. Now, if you're talking about some other kind of classic, like pop culture classic, sure, I'll give you that. But as an anime classic, I just don't know if DBZ falls into that.
Oh no, Jax just said Bleach is definitely not a classic. Noah says that Dragon Ball is before 2021 anime. Kuchiki's about to fight you, Jax. Natalie agrees that Dragon.
We can't.
Wait, what are you saying is too new?
A long time ago.
Reezy says, what about Pepe Le Pew and Speedy Gonzalez being canceled? Because those would be classic characters that we're like, because people are saying like the antics. And I think that kind of falls in the Grease category, where it's like you don't cancel them, like erase, pretend they never happened, but you kind of like look at their contributions or what they did for who they represented and be like, okay, this was bad. This was a bad representation. We are not doing this anymore. Kind of like what Disney does. Like, okay, you're about to see some problematic shit. Sorry. Proceed with caution. And I think that's how we move that car. Noah says he's not an anime head, so he can't speak from a point. He just knows that DBZ was cartoon classic for him growing up. So I feel that.
I'll give you that.
So I think we kind of came to a consensus with Looney Tunes, John Hughes.
Okay, so I'm going to say about 16 Candles. And it's so funny because I love 16 Candles, but then I watched this YouTube video of a lawyer reacting to 16 Candles. And when I saw it, I'm like, oh shit. It was like the feeling of dread just filling me up as I watch it. Because at some point, spoiler if you haven't watched 16 Candles, ain't my fault, I don't give a fuck. But
Rude.
At one point, they're at this party and the girl is too drunk, the popular girl, she's too drunk, and her friends go and start cutting her hair to get it. First of all, that's assault. You're not supposed to touch anyone, hair or otherwise, without their express permission, and especially if they're not in a position to give you proper permission. Then the fact that her boyfriend, who's now interested in another girl, leaves his girlfriend with the nerd and is like, can you take her home? When she's clearly intoxicated and he doesn't know this nerd boy from a hole in the wall. He just met him and remembered his name that day, but is still comfortable putting her drunk ass in a car with him to take her home. And I'm just like, if that ain't the most bullshit, like that story could have played out exactly like that on a college campus and it would have been a whole assault case.
Mm-hmm. True.
And yet in 16 Candles, it's with, you add a little 80s music and a heartthrob and it's this romantic, thing. And so I was just like, oh shit.
And
there were so many issues
like that. That's
that takes me back to Breakfast Club where homie was under the table and in her skirt. And I'm like, no.
All of them.
And it's just like, they're classics.
And when she met with him at the end. And
Breakfast Club was whack. Whack or not, it's a cult classic. Can't deny that. In her skirt, fam, like she jumped because he had fingers where they probably, like his head was, like it was implied, like you didn't see, but it was implied what he was doing under that table because she jumped. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget that scene. It was fucking visceral. I'll never forget it. But I think that takes us back to Kochiki's point when Kochiki was like, you can't erase it, but you just take from it, like, problem.
Right.
Don't repeat the problem. Name it, learn from it, grow from it, and push forward. But does that, knowing that something is problematic, does that negate its classic status?
No.
So you could still be a classic, problematic as fuck.
Not for nothing. Most of the classics are problematic as hell, but that doesn't make them any less classic. Like,
which brings me to my list.
Again, at least for movies, I feel like it's so difficult to like take away from something and then also decide like this is canceled without like really examine. Like I feel like you have to talk to the writers, because it's like, did you write this story, this segment, this scene because you find it funny, or did somebody tell you this actually happened to them in real life and you decided to take that like?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Zay will tell you like writing is you're literally pulling from real life, so it's like. Is this reflective of the times, or are you trying to control the times by saying like, "Hey, this is cool"? I think to Talba's point, like because of the way that it ends, it's like the movie feels like, oh, you did that thing, but you got rewarded for it. So the takeaway is it's okay to do that thing. Like yeah, like we're saying. I'm going in circles, but I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah, we get it. We got you.
I think it's hard to cancel classics because they didn't become classics because of what makes them problematic.
Right.
They became classics because of the other stuff. We like Breakfast Club because all of us can in some way relate to being the bully or the nerd or the popular girl with parents that are not interested in, or the jock who has pressure from his. And we don't relate to being those kids at some point. That's what made it a classic. Plus the soundtrack. It wasn't
soundtrack got a slap.
Like it wasn't a classic because of the problematic shit. We weren't like, oh, he's looking up her skirt, classic. Like that wasn't why that shit got the classic status in the first place.
Right.
I think
Matt really hates this movie.
I think we're human beings. We are capable of complex thought, and I think we are capable of seeing something as a classic and acknowledging its problematic point simultaneously.
Period. I have a question then. So what do you what makes it classic for you? Like how do you know looking at something? These are the qualifiers for a classic to you.
I don't know. It just
it depends on the if we're talking about timeless classics like Breakfast Club and things like that, I would say for me it's about the themes that are universal. Does it have universal themes in it that you can relate to even today? I don't think there's a person who can say I can't relate to being any one of those characters that was in that movie even now. Like, has some of it changed? Has some of it more? Yes. Is it cool to be a nerd now? Yes. But we all can relate to a time when we were younger and it wasn't so cool to be a nerd and we were getting punched in the face. Like, not necessarily punched in the face, but you know what I mean. So I think
I'm like, wait a minute, I ain't never got punched in my face now. Hold on, baby, and I've been a nerd all my life.
I mean, glasses.
That's just visually impaired.
But that was associated with being.
No, I mean, your glasses got broken.
Thank you, Noah. We like, hold up.
So I feel like.
Also,
that everybody's like, punk now.
I feel like for timeless classics, that's one of the key components is does it have universal themes that can withstand time? I think we've all been that student that felt like we were targeted by a teacher. I've definitely seen teachers who target certain students. I mean, we've all been there. I'm sure, Tony, you've seen teachers, who sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so it has to have universal themes that can kind of transcend the times. Anything else this classic has to have for it to be able to qualify?
Also, like, it has to have an actor or actress that people legitimately love or admire, I feel like. Because even if a movie is good, if it doesn't have an actor that makes people go, like, crazy or into some capacity, like, lose their mind, big fan base and all that, it's not really gonna slap as hard.
So like star power.
Yeah.
Gotta have star power.
Molly Ringwald was the it girl of her time. Like there was not a movie that she did that didn't go crazy when it dropped. Because so many girls wanted to be her or so many men wanted to be with her at that time, of course. But star power is it for a classic a lot of the time.
Okay. Kuchiki, what about for you?
I think kind of like to what they said, like it's about the impact and how impactful that is on a certain number of people. Like if it's because something could like be a cult classic, or actually what is a cult classic? But like in my head, a cult classic involves like a certain number of the group that are just like so impacted by it that like it shakes their core or whatever at some point,
So like has to have an impact on a certain amount of people. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what you said.
like
Okay.
yeah, deep impact. Yeah.
Deep impact.
What about Pretty Woman?
Classic.
What about Pretty
Well,
Woman?
yes. First of all, yes.
Okay, it has star power.
Julia
Who did it
Roberts.
impact?
I don't think it impacted. I think it had universal themes.
Who did you identify with?
I identify with Julia Roberts.
You
I'm not ashamed
identify
to
with the
say
prostitute?
You
I
damn
don't even think it's a
can't
Well,
be.
really just a prostitute.
I identified with her because she was more than a prostitute.
right.
It showed that prostitute was her job, not who she was.
Period.
And
Got
that
you.
and one of the universal things
Natalie said she identified with women who want a rich husband.
Yes. Yes.
That's valid.
Hey, Jack said
But, like, it
no.
also showed the way people treat people differently based on what you wear, based on what they think you do. Like the most iconic scene for me, outside of her red dress, was her going into that store where the ladies were treating her like she was less than, and her literally like her walk towards them when she was like first trying to find a place. You see her showing her outfit, she's walking around, she's looking innocently, and then she walks in, and when she walks back out and they do that montage of her making her way back to the hotel, she's sad, she's downtrodden, she's holding her coat to cover herself. And that kind of contrast is something that women who aren't prostitutes, women who try to we try to fit one of those sides all the time, or we're being forced into one of those sides all the time when we're much more complex than that. You know? And that's what I connected to. I connected to her establishing her boundaries. She's like, yes, I'm a prostitute, but I don't kiss on the lips. That's where my boundary is. And you, at first, you're like, what? You're a prostitute. Why the fuck you have boundaries? Because she has boundaries.
Period.
For me, what makes something a classic is if you have iconic lines that I'm going to remember well after I've seen that movie. Like for me in Pretty Women, when she in that same scene when she goes back and she's like, big mistake, big. Like there's just certain lines in the movie, like, and I just remember it. When the scene with her and Jason Alexander, not Jason, is it Gere, Richard Gere?
Yeah.
When he's like, I've never treated you like a prostitute, and she's like, you just did. And I'm like, ooh, tell him, honey. Read him for filth. Let him know who you are. For me, that's what tells me that it's a classic, because I remember the lines. That's why I love Fifth Element. I remember so many. Like, I could probably say the movie word for word. Like, when the alien's getting down, that's my jam. When she's about to eat chicken, she's like, chicken. I remember it. If I can remember the lines in the movie, to me, that's how I know this is a classic movie. For me. Because I know these lines like they're lyrics. It's like it speaks to me. Like it's like a song. So that's, to me, what makes Pretty Woman a classic. If I don't know the lines, I don't care who it's a classic for. Not to me.
I mean, if we're on the topic of movies and lines, 12 Angry Men, classic for me.
I don't know.
Like,
from that.
I'm sorry. There were just so many moments. First of all, Henry Fonda is like...
Is that Jane Fonda's relative?
Father.
At least I knew that. Do I get a point?
Like, this man, like, I don't... Bruh.
Look, she getting hot.
Like, iconic line. For me, it's...
Drink one of your waters.
For me, it's really how the scene played out that really makes it classic for me. I'll never forget that scene where, so this whole time they're like, oh, he said he was going to kill him. He shouted it out before he ran. So obviously that makes him guilty. And then there's this one juror who's just really antagonistic the entire time. And Henry Fonda's character is like resisting him. And so he starts yelling, I'll kill you. I'll kill you. And then all Henry Fonda says is, but you don't really mean you'll kill me, do you? And you just know from the instant of watching this whole movie that he just made his point, which is that sometimes we yell things out, but we don't actually mean we're going to go through with it. That is not equal to a guilty verdict because he screams, I'm going to kill you.
You know, there's a name for that. It's called the sucker punch factor. When you're watching something, no, really, when you're watching something or you read something and the pieces are slowly coming together in your mind, and then it's boom, and then once you feel that feeling, 9 times out of 10, that makes a classic too. When you have a nice sucker punch factor, that makes it.
Yeah, 12 Angry Men is chock full of them.
Yeah,
there was like at least 4 or 5 scenes where that happened.
I think one of the movies that was big for that for me probably was Juice. Probably that movie took me on a ride, and I just was like, "This is it." And just seeing Pac by that locker, and he's saying, "Listen, you know, people told me I was crazy, and I felt the way about it. But let me tell you something right now. I don't give a fuck." And when he said that, my chest, I was just like, "Oh, so he will kill everybody here, and he does not like."
He don't care.
Don't care. I just took it to a whole new level for me. Sucker punch factor is a really big part in what makes something even remotely rememberable. Like in general, like if you have something, like it could even be something as simple as like, I don't know, like a character you love dying. That can be a sucker punch if it's executed properly. Like if it's something that could be, you know, put on a scene or on a... Oh, you see what I'm saying? Like
never saw that, so
you
yes, we know.
Iron Man.
We're gonna work on it, girl. We're gonna work on
Iron Man.
What?
Yes.
What's happening?
I don't know.
That's all I got. That's all I'm gonna say is Iron Man. If you saw Iron Man, then you understand where I'm going with that. If you saw, if the MCU, if you went on that wild ride, that beautiful Marvel journey, then you get where I'm going. That sucker punch, I was like, fuck this. Get me off this elevator right now. And then they were like, WandaVision, and I was like, bring me back. Come on here. Wait. wait.
Ajax said, what about Aliens? Aliens as a classic.
Ooh, of course. Sigourney Weaver? Yes.
Yeah.
When the alien burst out the chest, I was here for it.
I am not a horror film person at all, but there are certain movies where it's like, even if I haven't watched it in full, yeah, like I forget if it's Resident Evil 1 or 2, that for me, I'm like, I might say it's a classic. I don't know. Which one was the one where the guard was like, they got trapped in a thing and then the lasers came and cut them into pieces?
I feel like that was one.
Okay.
I could be completely wrong, but I feel like that was one. There's so many, I'm not sure. But I feel like that was one. But I fucks with that heavily. When I think horror classics, I think like Carrie. I think... Because, again, I remember the lines. They're all going to laugh at you. I remember the lines. When I think horror classic, I think Damien. I'm remembering the sounds you hear when Damien about to do some fuck shit. The no. And I just knew someone finna die.
Okay, is anyone standing next to a mirror?
Don't even. Because you know I'm in the living room. And you know what's behind me. Because
that's all I had to say.
Don't even talk about the Man of Candy. Don't even bring up the Man of Candy. Don't do it. You saw.
I'm sorry, when you got grown folks still shitting in their pants.
I know. And I read that he actually had legit bees in his mouth for that movie. Like, that wasn't CGI. He was thuggy with bees and no. That's the real horror. No. Exorcist, yes. Classic. Like, super classic. What else do I have on my list? If we start with movies, we might as well go down this rabbit hole. Let me defer to my list. Please hold. I don't even have all horrors on here. Friday. I definitely have Friday on my list. Friday's a fucking classic. I don't give a fuck.
The first one.
Yeah, the original Ice Cube. Classic. Bye, Felicia. Like, classic. You got kids that don't even know who the fuck Felicia is. Quote me. Like, fucking classic. Classic. Scream. Classic. That is a classic. You have so many movie archetypes that they're trying to use to build off of that. Classic. Here's the one that I'm like, I don't know. I know how I feel, but I don't know how. Bad Boys.
That's a classic.
I feel like it's a fucking classic.
That's a classic.
Cause I will forever be like, from now on, that's how you draw. Like, that's my shit.
It's definitely genius. I don't know if I claim it as classic.
I feel
That's
like
definitely a classic. You don't have, and it's also legendary too. You didn't have two black leads.
Black buddy cops.
A movie like that? Nah, you wasn't getting that.
And it wasn't even trying to be funny, buddy. Like, they was like legit action. It wasn't slapstick. And like, they were out here like, whoo, Will Smith running down the street.
they were the first people to do it right, but they are not the first people to do the whole buddy cop thing. Because
no, not but. That's why I said it wasn't.
More than
the
that.
first decade of Eddie Murphy's career is him being somebody's buddy cop. But he
No,
always had to be
but that's why I
buddy cop.
specified it was
Yeah.
legit, just supposed to be action. It wasn't supposed. Like, I think with the way Eddie did it was supposed to be like you're getting him and you expect humor. I think when we got these two, we expected humor, but we definitely got way more action with these two.
He got a Tom Cruise movie. Or the
Yeah, and I think that we didn't. Yeah, and that's why I'm like, y'all fucking did that. Y'all showed us that black people aren't necessarily for your comedic relief all the time. We could jump out of planes too. Like we could Tom Cruise this shit. Natalie said, "Is there a difference between a cult classic and a classic?"
Yeah.
I think
Yes, because I feel like Jay and Silent Bob is a cult classic, but it's not a classic. You're not putting that shit next to 12
I mean,
Angry
it goes
Men.
back to the point that Kuchiki made about specific groups being more influenced.
I know the fuck out of fuck
Cult
motherfuck.
a little more intense. Cult classics, like they ride, like for whatever the thing is, they ride. Like it's not.
Hell yeah.
It's a level of insanity that comes with a cult classic. Like
Yeah, there's like a whole following.
Yeah, it's
Like Jay and Silent Bob is my shit, but they're a cult classic. Like they're not a classic.
Buffy
What up,
the
Forrest
Vampire
Late?
Slayer, cult classic.
We are. Join the conversation when you got some time. Appreciate you for the like.
Talbot, what you mean Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a cult classic?
Excuse me.
You mean
Did you mean the movie or do you mean the show?
I'm sorry, what? Because y'all are both talking.
The movie is a cult classic, but the show is a classic.
Yeah, you mean the movie, right?
I didn't even watch the movie. I wasn't even talking about the movie. I was purely talking about the show.
Get her, Kuchiki. Get her.
TV shows, we gonna come back to that.
You know what's crazy? I think we are as mad as we are because we're a part of the cult that she's talking about. So we might have to chill.
Hold on.
We might have to chill.
That's my point. Y'all just proved the point.
I'm waiting.
Don't get me wrong. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Shows. I will wait until we get the TV shows.
Cause you saw I sat back and I'm like, get her.
Yeah.
What else I got on this list for movies? I actually had Jay and Silent Bob, but we established cult classic. Meteor Man. I love that movie, but I also feel like anything that Robert Townsend was doing, like old school, that man was making some classics for the culture too. Like
it wasn't for everybody.
It was for us. Hocus Pocus. Is that a classic?
Yeah.
Because I feel like did you even really celebrate Halloween if you didn't play Hocus Pocus?
Right. Exactly.
Did you even celebrate properly if you didn't play that movie?
Right.
Which then made me think about A Christmas Carol. Did you even celebrate properly if you didn't bump that movie? In some capacity. If you didn't refer to it.
And even if you didn't bump it, you still know lines. God bless us, everyone. Come on.
Hello. Like,
is A Christmas Story a classic or a cult classic? That's what my mind is.
What about Home Alone? I always bumped
Classic.
Home Alone during Christmas.
Classic.
Yeah, like the holiday movies. Some of them, like, because I feel like This Christmas is not a classic. Sorry. For me, no.
What?
With the Chris Brown, no. I don't think that's a classic. Not for me.
You lost me.
You think This Christmas is a classic?
No.
Oh, I'm saying I don't think it's a classic.
No. That shouldn't even have been on the list. Like,
No, it's not on the list. That's why I'm like, there are certain holiday movies that I'm like, you gotta bump it. Like, you gotta do it for that, but not like, but there are also some holiday movies where I'm like, not needed.
for real.
I think
Yeah,
they're
you
like
don't need it.
nostalgic classics. Classics like you're not watching for every time a certain scenario comes up, but on occasion you'll watch clips from it because it was really funny or had some good moments. Like, for example, what was the name of that movie that had Monique in it? Where it was this family that was coming together for Christmas. It had Gabrielle Union and Family Christmas, something like shit. It had Danny Glover in it as well as the head of the family. It's like, that's not a classic or anything like that, but it definitely, there are times where I'll watch clips from it because it was hilarious to me. It was
For me,
really
moments
funny.
like that, I think of like Soul Food, Waiting to Exhale. Those are classics to me.
absolutely.
Because I'm like, when I want to burn the world down,
not a bit. I'm just saying.
First of all, Wesley
Like-
Snipes.
sometimes you're in that mood. That's what I have for classic movies. Anybody have a classic movie on their list that they want to bring to the table to discuss?
I have a lot.
We were supposed to have 5, Zay.
I have a lot though. But
No.
we're down to 5. New Jack City.
Classic. Rockabye, baby. If I know a line from the movie, I'm gonna call it a classic. If I don't know a line,
Come on now. Cancel that bitch. Like,
yo, sit your fine ass while I make change. Like, come on.
Right.
That's my shit. Beetlejuice, definitely a classic. Hell yes, it's a classic. Not even, hell yes, classic.
So Zay, your list.
Poetic Justice.
Yes.
Definitely a classic. Don't know lines, but definitely a classic. It's
I
been
know
a minute since I bumped it, so.
You don't need to learn. You just need Janet Jackson's braids. That's it.
Really?
They are the
You
lines.
find a whole world.
Right. Really though.
And her stank face in the truck where she was like,
How you gonna look like that?
Stopping the drum.
That's crazy.
I love Black women.
Like,
what you said?
I said she was really acting because I don't know how you can make that face next to him. Like, that doesn't even make sense. He needs an Oscar just for that because, like, you fronting like you're not next to him right now. But
I'm done. All right, you had 3? 3 more?
what else? Let me see.
We not gonna talk about Do the Right Thing, Nat. We not doing that. Shh.
You about to get
Shh.
Like,
Natalie!
anyway.
Stop it, Natalie! Natalie, stop!
Yes, Do the Right Thing, yes.
Anything by Spike Lee is a classic, Natalie. Go away.
Yes. Okay. Set It Off.
Yes.
Frankie wanna blow up the bank. Frankie wanna rob the bank.
Yes.
I say
Classic.
that. I think about that movie.
You just hear me screaming?
Yeah, I have a lot. Just so many.
You
here.
gotta give us 2 more to discuss if it's a classic or not. She giving us easy ones.
Yeah, because I like classic shit.
Damn. Snob.
Okay, this is like the teenage soapy little white girl inside of me, but A Walk to Remember.
Ooh.
Like,
I would say that's a classic. Yes. Because Only Hope. Only Hope was my shit.
Yeah.
When he was like, you have to tell him. I even remember where I was when I watched that movie for the first time. That's a classic.
That's what I'm saying. If you if a movie invokes a memory where you can't forget it, like if you think about a movie and you like, I remember exactly where I was at, exactly what was going on. It's just, and I feel like that.
She said a walk to remember, Nat.
Yeah, a walk to remember. That's my jam.
A walk to remember, yeah. That shit slaps.
That's one of my
Is that it? Did I say 5?
Nope, you got one more.
Okay. Okay, y'all probably won't agree with this, but for me, it's like a personal thing, a very personal feeling.
Watch it be a classic.
Cool Intentions.
Ooh, hell yes, classic. I told you, watch it be a classic. Of course, it's a fucking classic.
It's literally one of my favorite movies of all times and ever.
It's a fucking classic.
I cried when he died. I cried.
Yo, Fan with her fucking spoilers, bro. Like, why is she like this?
Because y'all should have been watched this shit. I don't give a fuck.
Stop.
You watched it already.
Stop.
That's my movie. I know that movie inside and out, upside and down.
That is my shit.
I only took this screenshot on April 6th. Like,
we literally have a Facebook memory of us being the siblings. Like,
that movie, I can talk.
That is our shit.
But it's as far as my definition of what makes like what hits all the marks. That movie is so it for me because it has the gut punch factor, the star power factor, the quotable line factor. It's smutty. It's just amazing. I love it.
It's so good.
Yeah, literally one of my favorite movies of all time. So yeah.
Yup.
That's it. That's
Kuchiki, Amina, who's next?
I'll go.
All right. What's your 5?
So I already said 12 Angry Men, and she took The Walk to Remember. Okay. But the other ones were The Crow, the original one, for me. Like, that movie was just, it was great. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking, making 4 different remakes. The one with, like, the guy who used to play Angel, and I was just like, why? It was fine the way it was. It even has a creepy real-life story behind it, because the actor actually died from a fake bullet. It was just it gets me every time. You know, it's and it's a very simplistic movie. There's no like crazy CGI or anything like that. It's real basic, but it still gets to you. Like, I'll never forget the line he says where mom is the name of God on the lips of children. And I was just like, actually squeezing the heroin back out of her vein. And I'm just like, yes. Yup. I was here for it. I was here for all the creepiness, even between the siblings. I was here for everything about it. After that, Edward Scissorhands. I'm sorry.
My heart.
Anything where Johnny Depp is like in full costume and everything.
We might have to put a separate entity. He's just a whole.
Johnny Depp is a classic. He is a national treasure, and I'm so upset with Amber Heard for what she tried to do.
But like, I really liked Edward Scissorhands, partly because of him and Winona's chemistry. Just felt so very natural, and it had everything. It had sad moments, it had comedic moments, it had like, what the fuck is going on moment. Like, it just, you had a whole experience while you were watching it, and somehow still felt like a little kid while watching it. Like, it still had some of that magic to it. Because I mean, when you think about it in reality, you find a guy who's been left in a house all by himself and has scissors attached to his hands. That's supposed to sound frightening and depressing as fuck. But when you watch the movie, you're not frightened and depressed the entire time you're watching this movie. You might actually laugh at a couple moments. And I think that speaks to just how genius it is. I don't know if everyone will agree with this. I feel like it might be more of like a cultural classic, but Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella with Brandy and Whoopi Goldberg. And I'm just like, first of all,
yes.
They did something that I still don't even really see to this day, which is completely ignore the biological.
They sure did.
You know, like
Loved
there's
it.
no way that a white man and a black woman are giving birth to an Asian baby. There's just no way.
Because they
But
did.
it didn't matter. You know, they showed that you can tell a story even with a clear, like, fictional part and still get your audience to fully commit to what you're telling them. Like, that was just a fleeting thought that he's an Asian man. It was a fleeting thought because and it showed that, you know, different races can act towards each other like they're family. You know, there's this like false narrative that, oh, it's not going to be believable because this person's race and this person's race. And it's like, it's called the fourth wall for a reason. Get into it. Like, let's just do the damn thing. And it was done. You know, the queen was a black woman. I was here for all of Whoopi Goldberg's shenanigans in that movie. I was here
Queen Whoopi.
All of it. I was here for Jason Alexander's little clip. Like that whole dance routine he does, the princess having a ball. Like,
all of it.
You couldn't have me in my seat watching that scene. I was dancing, I was throwing pillows, I was pretending I was holding the cake and running around and trying to duck with shit. It was a whole choreography. And I was like, yes, go little short man, go. You better get into it. And of course I was here for Whitney and all of her belting.
All of it.
In that dress. I was here for her messed up spell casting. I'm sorry. I love Whitney, rest in peace. But yeah, for me, I don't know if everyone considers that a classic, but for me, it was very pivotal in my childhood. Harlem Nights.
Oh yes.
Damn, you had one more. That was the Cinderella. Look at you. You taking up Kuchiki time. But yes,
I'm sorry.
I agree. Harlem Nights.
Harlem Nights.
Okay, this first movie, I don't even really like it, but you can't knock on the classic. Titanic is definitely a classic.
Not wrong.
It's just iconic for literally all the reasons that make you frustrated with it.
Wait, what movie?
Titanic.
Oh yes.
But that's like also what makes it like you love to watch it so that you can hate on it. In like all the best ways.
Like I'm clenching my fist as I'm thinking about this damn movie.
It's so fun. It's like literally fun to hate watch that movie. And I feel like there's not a person, or let me say, there's not a person that I know. I'm talking about all the black people that went to see that movie and was not bawling their eyes out. Like, for whatever reason, if you saw it in the theater, you were coming out in tears. Like, it was one thing when it had the white people in tears. Black people were in tears too. Like,
for different reasons, though. For very different reasons. Everybody was Rose. Everybody hated Rose. Everybody was like, fucking Rose.
There was space.
It takes you back, like, ooh, the emotions. Okay. The next movie is hard. Okay. So I'm gonna just count it as one, even though it's technically two movies, but Terminator 1 and 2.
Oh, for sure.
Without a doubt. Like, the first one came out and it was great. And you had Arnold Schwarzenegger as the bad guy. That wasn't a thing. Arnold Schwarzenegger had been the action hero in so many movies. And people went to that movie theater expecting to see him save the day. And that N-word came out and was trying to kill people? What? And then Terminator 2, just because they purposely waited 10 years for technology to get better, so that the graphics would be better, so that they could then stun your ass again. Like, it's Terminator 2 is literally like top 3 for me. Top 3.
Yeah.
That factor.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a specific scene I remember in that movie where the mother, they're trying to break her out, and she runs into Arnold's character. That look on her, that's prime acting. I felt her fear. I felt that shit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Even the music that
Yo, facts.
Like that, you feel that in your chest when you hear that. I'm like, yeah, it's about to be some shit.
You better dip. You better beat feet.
Yeah, that shit was put together really nicely. That
Hell
whole,
yeah.
So, all right. So honestly, like James Cameron he was fucking it up. For real.
He stayed fucking it up.
So again, Jaws 1 and 2, like I can't pull them apart. Like I've literally gotten into arguments about what's the better sequel, Jaws 2 or Terminator 2. Like it's with those two movies, like again, they moved people. They literally moved people. You didn't know what you were going to the theater to see. And you were fucking afraid every time. You ain't even really see anything. That's the crazy part. You don't really see anything until the end. And classic. Fourth one, The Color Purple. Had to throw that in there because, like, can you not? Too many memorable lines. The lines will live. Like, people will forget about the actual premise of the movie.
right.
The lines will live on forever.
Forever.
You can't deny.
All my life I had to fight.
I'll be like, sister.
Like, universal themes. Damn. Like, so The Color Purple, and then the last one was tough, but I'm gonna give it to The Dark Knight because
I mean, it's a classic for me. You know why. We can't talk about it on camera, but
It'll take a whole episode now.
Sigh.
yeah.
Yes. Good, excellent list. Excellent list. Very good list. I don't think anybody had anything on their list that was contested where somebody was like, nope, not a classic. I think we all like pick shit that the team was like, yes. No contest. All of the Batman Dark Knight.
Hell yes, not The Dark Knight. Now you're not wrong because there are some classic Batman movies, but like if we talking about story alone, like nothing is really topping the Dark Knight. It's not. You could say some of the Batmans might have been more classic, sure, but no, they're not topping.
Anything bottoming the Dark Knight? Why am I like this? I don't know. Zay's like, hey now. She said
So what's
Batman
the next
Return.
category? We move into
Next
sitcom,
category
TV
is
shows.
TV shows. So I'm gonna let Kuchiki start since Kuchiki went last. And Kuchiki, you call on the next person when you are done with your top 5.
Wait, what's the next one we're doing?
TV shows. So you got us. You starting us off. TV shows.
Okay. Let me just get it out
Do
the
right.
way, okay? We're gonna
Right.
come back to. I'm gonna need you to keep your head held high, Alba. Please.
We all looking at
we
you,
need to-
Elba.
We need to have a conversation about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yes, Joss Whedon, cancel his ass. I don't give a fuck. Buffy the Vampire Slayer stopped belonging to him decades ago.
Great.
Okay, like honestly, 1998. It was like, okay, this is bigger than anybody else on the show. And the reason I say that is because that show literally changed the way that people were writing drama and horror for television. Like it literally, it went across genres and it literally changed what the writers wanted to do to the audience. It was literally one of the first shows where you had this main female character, not just like I don't want to get too deep into it, but like there's a reason that like the Buffyverse there's a reason that this shit was started to be taught in classes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, like I would need a whole separate episode to go into Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but
We
like,
have
because of
questions about the
impact-
Buffyverse.
because of the impact that it's had on like generations to come, like writers to come after that, like it has to be considered a classic. It literally changed television. You honestly wouldn't have shows. You wouldn't have shows like Scandal it wouldn't have. I'm not even gonna get into it because that's gonna.
But I never said it wasn't a classic. I said it was a cult classic. I didn't say it to the exclusion.
She did it again.
You're right. I wanted to make sure. That's why I was like, do you mean cult classic in addition to classic?
I never said to the exclusion of being a classic. It's a classic in terms of its impact to people, but in terms of like the show and people's love for it, it's a cult classic.
So you're saying it's both?
It is
Yeah.
definitely both.
Okay, because the way you presented it, it sounded like you were saying to us it was only cult, and we were like, "Ma'am,
Because
your
we're talking
head we
about the
needed."
content of the show, like, in terms of like characters, people loving Spike and all of that. Like, I'm sorry, but my 14-year-old sister doesn't give a fuck about who Spike is. So for me, I was like, in terms of the content. Now, in terms of its impact, yes, it's a classic. I'll give you that. But in terms of like people watching the show and remembering certain scenes and lines, it's a cult classic.
Yeah, but I mean, we could literally say that about like
Everything.
Yeah.
She's trying to save herself. Carry on. That was me last week.
I'm gonna bring up like cult classic status actually because like I'm gonna just be a wild card and say that Game of Thrones. I don't think it's going to be a classic. I think it's gonna be a cult classic.
Okay,
I don't know
because I'm like,
It is.
okay.
I agree.
So the next one, I put these two together because it's a separate conversation, but like Friends / Living Single.
Why they together? Wait.
Hold on. The only reason I put them together is because like we live in a society where a lot of people will still try to give Friends that status and just disregard the fact that like it's literally a carbon copy of Living Single. So I'm like, that's fine. If you want to talk about Friends, that's fine. But I'm only going to it's the artist formerly known as Friends. It's only known now as Friends / Living Single. Like that's where I'm at with it.
Fine.
To be honest.
I love them both, but we know that Living Single is Friends is literally the son of Living Single.
But these bitches is my sons.
Really though.
That's what I said, Jax said we can't put them together. But I see why we're
Natalie was like,
swishing.
what makes GOT different from The Sopranos or The Wire?
I'm sorry, what?
Natalie was
sorry?
like, what makes Game of Thrones different from The Sopranos or The Wire?
That's a
The fact that you even remember this.
Can my moderator ban Nat Rocks? Nah. I'm kidding.
All right, everybody one at a time now. Not all at once. Back up. Get on Wake the Beast, Natalie.
It's about to be a different kind of podcast. Right now. Different.
I think for me, what made Sopranos and The Wire no, Jax! Jax ain't shit. Jax fake ban Natalie. I think for me, what made it different was the way that they told the story, the content of for me, the content of the story. I was way more impacted by a story like Sopranos, a story like The Wire than I was by Game of Thrones. Also, I don't think anybody's ever going to get over season 8. Also, take my opinion with a grain of salt, because I didn't even watch fucking Game of Thrones until literally the last episode of season 8. So I came in at the very tail end. I read the books, so I was expecting some hot fire, and I got wet, cold tissue, and I was pissed. I'm like, I read the books for this hot doodle garbage? Nah. But I feel like the story, like nah, you're not gonna put them in the state. They don't belong on the same shelf, let alone the same bookcase. Nah, don't do that.
I'm trying to keep my brain calm because I'm just like,
she about to flame you. Flame on.
That shit made my soul jump up and out when she said that. Like no, what? First of all,
Mm-mm.
James Gandolfini. I don't know anybody that acts the way that man.
Gandolfini?
There is no one on Game of Thrones that holds a candle to the way that man acts. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna just leave it. I'm gonna just leave it at and for The Wire. So it's so many like compelling actors and just amazing. Just Game of Thrones.
I mean, I haven't watched The Wire, but I think what makes The Wire separate from Game of Thrones is there was iconic characterizations that you don't see everywhere. Like, wasn't one of the main gangster characters also gay, but like out and about and proud of it? That's not something you see all the time. You keep your street cred and you get to be out and gay and embracing it. Like, that's not something you see.
That spoon
Much less-
scene? Woo!
Also, I guess so. Basically, what to all of you guys are saying, the difference between Game of Thrones and Sopranos and The Wire is trailblazing. Because don't get me wrong, Game of Thrones is cute, but The Wire and The Sopranos, trailblazing, life changing. It was literally at its time. At its premiere, there was nothing in the world that existed like those shows. And that's the difference between The Sopranos and The Wire and Game of Thrones. Because
Well
now,
said.
Game of Thrones, there's a lot of them in different ways. It's watered down, changed around, flipped, and different characters put in. But I can recognize Game of Thrones on TV in a different show. I still have not seen anything that is like The Sopranos and anything.
They be trying, but I'm like, you not
Yeah,
slapping.
I mean, I love Game of Thrones, but I also low-key felt like it was soap opera writing, but with like magic and costumes and cosplay.
That's
Like,
you
LARPing.
can see that.
LARPing with
LARP.
talent.
Yes.
Game of Thrones is based on a lot, but nobody
Yeah, it
talks
wasn't
about that.
our lives, but we're LARPing. It was just,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and that was it. It wasn't doing anything like extraordinary or new or, you know,
Right.
outstanding.
Right.
Kuchiki finish.
I mean, The Wire gave us Idris. Like, that's.
Praise God.
That's all we need.
I think the last one is, again, I maybe this is falling down to cult status, but to kind of go off of like what Zay was saying, like All in the Family, I give that show classic status because there's still nothing like it on TV. Like, America loved Archie Bunker was America's sweetheart, and it was perfectly fitting for America because Archie Bunker was a racist bigot. It was just like, this is perfect. This is wonderful. Everybody's actually admitting that they love racism. Like, it's
Yeah.
great, but it was also like it literally shone a light on like what the real America was like. So it was just like, this is wonderful, and they actually did that in the '60s, which is shocking as hell. I mean, talk about trailblazing. It was like, this is a sign of the times. This has to be a classic. It was also funny as fuck. I'm not gonna lie. It's problematic as fuck, but it was funny.
Sometimes that's what you need. Problematic and funny. Kuchiki, call the next speaker.
Who wants to go?
You gotta pick.
Calvo.
All right.
You're in, right?
So for me, I specifically target sitcoms because I feel like personally they're a little different than your average TV show. So for me, my 5 sitcoms, obviously Cosby Show, but also because its humor was that kind of fun, clean humor where it was like they weren't necessarily trying to insult anyone or bring anyone down or be vulgar, but it was that kind of funny you could sit with your parents or your grandma and have a good family time, you know? And so many times the stuff we enjoy is only enjoyable with particular groups because some other group might be too offensive for their sensibilities. And Cosby Show was just like that one thing, like all around, it didn't matter who was in the room. you could laugh, you could have a good time. And I love the fact that you saw Black women in various roles. You know, you saw Felicia Rashad, successful, articulate, married, but then you also saw Vanessa, who's scatterbrained and had to figure herself out. And then you had, you know, the middle daughter who was an artist and a free spirit. And then you had the oldest one who was always calling out all the misogyny going on in an instant and ready to argue with you. You know, and seeing that those many different representations allowed you to feel like, okay, I'm a Black woman and more. There are other ways I can fit. I love Lucy. I'm sorry, she was sad.
Yes, as
I
hell.
love Lucy.
Classic.
I like seeing a woman being that eager to do physical comedy in that way. I feel like that's not something you saw too often. You know, the great scene where she's trying to stomp her feet with her best friend and the whole mess that made. You know, and there was nothing graceful about Lucy, you know, and I liked that. I liked that she wasn't trying to be this pretty, prim, Tabitha or whatever bewitched kind of wife. She was very much messy, loud, you know, and it was interesting to see a white woman portrayed that way, because so often we see them like this cute little flower that things happen to, and we see her orchestrating all the mess. And then obviously A Different World. I mean, how many people all of a sudden like college because of A Different World? You know, you had kids who weren't even thinking about college. Like, I want to go to college. I mean, maybe not always for the right reason, but hey, what gets you through the door, get you through the door.
Right.
Okay. Not to mention the different fashions. And A Different World definitely talked about issues that, you know, were still very, you know, taboo at the time, like the episode about HIV, the episode about domestic violence, and all these things. And
they had
it definitely
Tupac.
showed, and it definitely showed that women have standards. You know, a lot of people looked at Whitley and was like, "Oh, why is she being so bougie? Why is she?" And it was just like, it was the first time you saw a Black girl be unapologetically, unapologetically upper class. And not be afraid to show I am upper class. And I think a lot of people's issues with Whitley was that she dared to be upper class.
Love it.
And I'm like, if this was a white girl, y'all would have thought that was cute and adorable. But because it's Whitley, it's a problem.
Period.
And she for me, she was one of the first to like have that iconic voice acting that you never forget. I mean, yeah, you have the nanny with whatever her name is, and that voice is iconic. Yeah. And that's fine, but like for me, it was Whitley's voice. It was just, but also Dwayne was. I liked his development as a character from the first season to the end you know what I mean? And I'm just like, that show will forever have a special place in my heart. Three's Company had me dying every day. I think what was unique about it was having it be two women and a guy living together, which I think at the time was a little new. Like, that concept of that was not something that was usual. I think that was the actual premise of the show, was that he was supposed to not be living there, so they were pretending or under some ruse or whatever. But John was just iconic. I'm sad to this day that he died. His son is talented, but I mean, no one can replace John. And then Golden Girls. Golden Girls defines shade. They define throwing shade. Like, queens of shade. All of them. The mama, all three of the ladies, like, they threw shade like it was nobody's business. And it was like sophisticated shade, you know? I don't know. Like Golden, what do you say about Golden Girls?
They also show that friendship isn't pretty all the time.
It's not pretty all the time.
Beautiful. I think it was like they were able to be kind of like bitches to each other and still like love each other a lot. And I think that's gorgeous, because like a lot of TV friendships is like, we're best friends and it's so amazing and life is great. But like sometimes I actually want to slap the dog shit out you. You know what I mean? Like, that is a beautiful message
And I think the one thing I liked about Golden Girls was that it showed you can be older and still captivate the audience. It was one of the first shows where you see a group of women who are not in their quote unquote prime. They're still giving it up like they were competing with shows that had the young and sexy women, and they were still able to keep it. They still had healthy sex lives. They still had interests. They still, were following dreams, starting new ones, and it was kind of like, I am not my age.
Can I throw a fun little nerdy TV nerd Easter egg at you guys?
Yeah.
So, Joss Whedon's father was actually I think he was a writer and producer on the Golden Girls, and Joss Whedon for Buffy would literally take a lot of Golden Girl references and literally put them in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Did not know that. Now I'm gonna have to rewatch and find them.
Right?
Going on a hunt.
I mean, and who doesn't love Betty White? Like, she's a national treasure.
Facts.
That tribute she did to Morgan Freeman, I was just like, she the only one who could stand on stage and be like, is that Betty White with 9 black guys? And no one finds that offensive. She's the only one that can do that.
Yeah.
She was a trailblazer.
Hell yeah.
Definitely.
All right.
Excuse me, is it?
I'm like, wait, don't put that out there, fam. April been rough enough. Chill.
For race relations, I meant it that way.
Oh, okay. Like, damn. April not over yet, sir. Mina, wanna call the next speaker?
Say.
Well, y'all took a lot of my choices, but I don't know. I guess I'll go a little bit. I'll bring it a little closer to our time now, just because I was watching a lot of the shows today.
Because we're old.
I hate you.
The Wayans Brothers is one of my favorite shows. Like, just
classic.
They just make me happy, and I think again, trailblazing. Like, they are the definition of when you get there, take your entire family with you, and I appreciate that. I really do. Because they didn't just put out like funny content. They also was able to weave important Black messages into their stuff, into their jokes, and I also credit Marlon Wayans as being one of the top tier physical comedy bodies I've ever seen. He doesn't even have to say anything, and the way he moves his body, the way he throws himself around, it can literally. I was in the bathroom and one of the episodes was playing, and I didn't hear any words. I just heard a bunch of laughter, and I look out like, what the hell's going on? And he's flinging his body all over the place, and I just think that's physical comedy is top tier. So. I just think that show is classic. And, I also, I think nobody really brings this up. They were very affectionate to each other, which I think is beautiful, because that was never on TV. Black men, I love you, bro. Give me a kiss, dap me up, being close. They were very much that in that show, and I appreciate that. So, definitely a tier vibe for me. Okay. My inner white girl about to rise up. Okay. So for me, gossip. I don't know. I don't know if I would say classic just yet, because I don't think it's old enough. But definitely a cult classic, because the
Gossip Girl.
Gossip Girl.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, for me, because I
can see that.
Yeah.
One, probably because I read the books, so that's a big part of it. But two, just
I didn't even know it was
Lively, Leighton Meester, the whole gang. It was just it. It was just it. It was just so it, and I was obsessed, and that's that. Oh boy.
They were literal moods, I have to say.
Yeah.
Sometimes you went to school feeling like Serena. Sometimes you went to school feeling like Chuck Bass.
Really. And I also, I don't know, I think I say this a lot on social media. I find comfort in seeing white people do stupid shit to fuck their lives up for no reason. Like that.
That was me with One Tree Hill. One Tree Hill had me.
I was listen because that was my. So wait a minute.
Oh, sorry.
Because I'm gonna get there. I find you can ask Ajax. I find huge comfort in watching white people get everything they want and fuck it up. Like, yes, ruin your life. I am ready. How are you gonna fix this? You are in a pickle. And right, my next show based off of that is One Tree Hill. Let me tell you something. Chad Michael Mother effing Murray was my biggest white boy crush. Oh my god. Oh, I was so excited for him. And just like all these problems for what? For what? Y'all don't got problems. Y'all just making shit up and doing weird shit and being like, y'all was just struggling for no reason. Like, high school is hard. We know. Love it. I love it.
I'm done.
I enjoy it. Ruin your life and let me.
That show.
You know what? It makes me feel better about who I am as a person when I see Blair Waldorf do some dumb shit because she live on the Upper East Side and I'm here. So if you can ruin your life, my life is not that hard. So I just love it. But yeah, so
Yeah. Brooke was like my favorite character.
You said what?
I said Brooke was my favorite character.
Oh yeah. And wasn't she just so cute with them dimples? But yeah. Okay, I don't know. I don't think this show is a classic at all, but because of my deep-rooted obsession with it, I'm just going to bring it up. True Blood.
Oh, I definitely think it's a cult classic. Hold up.
Yeah, I am deeply obsessed with True Blood. Like,
and the books? Oh,
yeah, deeply. It just all the way through, just obsession. And it's weird because I still don't watch the intro because, you know, I don't like scary shit on purpose. So when the intro comes on, I do this. And then when it's finished, I look at it. But...
Suck it. He's to get me. Bill?
You know, yeah.
Northman?
That's what I say about that. Eric Northman is it. And also, let's talk about the beautiful connotation that we associate blonde hair with villains. I think that's a... And I love that. The blonde hair means you're a bad guy. Yes. Hush. Sorry, but my book has something.
When they gave us that scene between that dream sequence between Jason and Eric, I was like, okay, thank you. I see y'all looking out for my guy.
Yeah.
For me, all I cared about was Lafayette. And that
yes. Now eat your eggs, bitch. Yes.
Okay, I was living for that.
Yes. And how I knew what told me that this series, the show, was gonna take a life on its own was they redid his character completely separate from the book. And that's when I was like, oh yeah, this is it right here. Cause like they made choices with the live action characters that were way different, like, and I'm just like, oh, because the let them try to do to Lafayette what was supposed to happen, and the viewers will fucking riot. And I'm just like,
yes, yeah.
Shout out to
Wesley too, because that's my girl.
Yeah, Tara too. Tara's story was way different. Let them try to make Tara the way she was supposed to be in the book. I loved how I don't like how her story ended.
It was a great ensemble cast. Like they fed, no pun intended, but they fed off of each other.
Pun intended.
But yes. Was that 5? Did I say 5?
Oh, I wasn't counting. Give us one more just in case.
Okay. Oh God, I don't even know which one to pick. Okay. I have to. I'm sorry. Grey's Anatomy. I have to. I
was surprised I didn't say it.
And that wraps up this episode. Good night.
No. Yeah, I'm here for it, Jay. I'm here for it.
I'm sorry, but feel the way that I feel, and that's just.
I'm here for it. That shit got me through college. I'm here for it. I don't give a fuck.
15 seasons? Come on. I mean, what does it take? I just.
First of all, just my stats alone, it's a classic.
Yeah.
But then when you think about all the episodes, the impact.
How
like,
you
I'm
speaking
sorry.
on her share? Wait a minute. She ain't seen that.
Go ahead, Zay. Let them know.
Listen, I love it so much. Sandra Oh, thank you for existing and just being amazing. And
Thank you for Villanelle, Sandra Oh. Appreciate you.
just oh god, it's just so good. It's just so good. And I mean, it's still going. So I don't know, like I don't know if it's a classic, but it's definitely a cult classic. Definitely the following.
I'll give you that.
And the
Agreed.
tense. It is. Thank you, Shonda. I wish you were still with us, but we love you. It's just amazing, and my life wouldn't be what it is if I didn't know, Meredith Grey. And I feel like I didn't go to med school, but I do know. I do know
How to save a life.
Push one.
Yeah, I do know how
I
to.
hate y'all so much.
I know how to perform a tracheotomy in an elevator. I know how to do these things. So if ever, I'm ready.
I'm over all of you.
I know how to extubate, intubate.
Yes, exactly.
I
know
hate all of y'all.
I would not know that if it wasn't for Grey's Anatomy. So that's it.
Yeah. And I mean, Grey's Anatomy did touch on a lot of topics that we don't think about in terms of like medical care and people's access to it, and the discussion on like pain meds and addiction in healthcare, and how doctors are unknowingly creating a lot of the addicts that are on the street. And I mean, a lot of people look at Grey's Anatomy, they're like, oh, this is so drama filled, it's like a soap opera, and I'm like, but these doctors are human. They have lives.
Yeah,
and
right.
I think seeing them as humans and how that affects their ability to do their job. I know for one thing, I'm paying more attention to my doctor's moods than I ever did before. Because like, if you're having a bad day, I don't want you to miss something because you pissed off.
Right.
And I think bringing that humanity to doctors is something we oftentimes forget, because we're usually, when we're seeing a doctor, we're worried about our own health issue, so we stop seeing them as human and expect them to be not flawed. And it's like, wait a minute, they still have to get up in a bed, drink some coffee, and make their way to work like everybody else.
Right. And also,
Sure.
just as a bonus treat, because I wouldn't be me if I didn't say it. Queer as folk,
Woo!
the gay girl inside of me, I have to. But there was nothing like it on TV when it dropped, and there is still nothing like it now. Like, still.
What? Not Will and Grace? What? Nah, I don't know.
Compared to Queer as folk, do you want to fight about it?
I don't know.
Compared to,
I just wanted to ruffle your feathers a little
yeah,
bit.
don't do that. But yeah, so that's my little gem, and I love it, and I appreciate everything about it, and I will watch it 1,000 times over. So that's it.
Noted. Well, y'all both took a different world and Friends / Living Single. But I had on my list, I'm gonna just name them. I had X-Files, Charmed, Law and Order, Chappelle Show, and Batman animated series. Those were all what I had. Like, those are all classics.
Very good list.
X-Files.
Very good.
Fucking Scully, Mulder, come.
Yeah. Again, the music.
Like,
We don't talk about how much these soundtracks made these things classic as well.
Like,
Yep.
The Power of Three, like when she broke the rules and was finna marry a demon. Nah,
That's
like-
when I knew I made toxic choices. When I chose Cole over Leo. But
I chose Cole too, Slick. Law and
Listen.
Order. I literally named my lizards Elliot and Olivia, so y'all know how I feel. Chappelle Show.
I'm about to binge watch the whole SVU series.
What even is there like you're not touching like he literally had a whole sketch. I can't say it because Twitch rules don't allow me to say anything that sounds like this word, but it was a whole white family with this last name. You feel me? He made Black Klansman a thing. Like he was doing shit and like saying shit that no one was comfortable with. And he's like, it's a joke, but it's not because it's real. And Batman animated series, like we still like that. They got away with like sexual assault was in this cartoon, and they was like, it's a thing. Carry on, kids. Like Harley Quinn straight assaulted Nightwing, and we were all like, okay. Like they were just like, just letting this stuff happen. Like girls could do it too. It's not just boys. Girls assault men too. And as we kind of just be like, all right, that happened, and like breaking barriers, like Mark Hamill, that talk about an OG cast, like animated series, love it, love it. So the other categories that we had on our list, we are going. What up, Heavy Hillbilly? Appreciate you for the alert. The other categories, let's do a thumbs up, thumbs down if we agree with something on someone's list. We had games, fashion, and books. I know that's going to hurt your heart, Zay, to bypass the books and not have an open discussion. So let's do this speed run. And then we're going to give you guys a little tidbit, a snippet, a taste of what's to come after our speed run. So, Amina, do you want to start us off with your games list? Top 5, classic games. 5, go.
Top 5. Monopoly.
Y'all gotta hold up your thumbs if you agree.
Carmen Sandiego.
The game?
Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Yeah, the game.
I think this classic game. I like that game. That's fun.
Sonic.
Oh, fuck yes.
Goldfish.
Ain't it Goldfish?
It's Goldfish.
Goldfish.
Things I learned today.
Facts, because I thought it was Goldfish this whole time. And y'all gonna hate me for this. Marvis Beacon Typing.
Yes.
Mavis Beacon Typing.
Mavis.
We got the gist.
That's where I learned my typing from.
Does that count as a game? That's an educational game.
Yeah,
All right. Relax, tranquile. Next person who's up. Kuchiki.
I'll go. So this isn't my top 5. There's just
your classics.
Spades, poker, NBA 2K, because I don't think it's going anywhere anytime. I'm just saying. Super Mario, whichever one version.
Maddie, Amina, you're not voting. Or you frozen?
Oh, she froze.
He's frozen.
Okay.
And then the last one is Tetris.
Took 2 off my list, man. Zay?
Pinball, because that's been around for forever, since computers were first made. You took like 3 of them off my list. 2 for Dare. 7 Minutes in Heaven. Simon Says. How many was that? 4?
Yeah.
Red Light, Green Light.
All right. So I'm gonna say Oregon Trail. I'm gonna say Minesweeper. That old school ass shit. I'm gonna say we didn't. It took me a minute to figure out how to fuck to play, but once I got it, I was good at it. DDR takes me back to Bard. Oh, somebody said Monopoly. God damn it, I can't say Monopoly. Connect 4. Scrabble. That's my shit. I love me a good game of Scrabble. And was that 4 or 5?
Except the video game.
Was that 4 or 5?
I think that was 5.
Yeah, that was fine.
It was 5. All right, I didn't say a video game. I'll go with my classic video game, Duck Hunt.
Never heard of it.
Debatable.
That's mine. Duck Hunt on Nintendo? Like the gray Nintendo? How was that? Well, you had the little gun? Pew pew?
Fair enough.
Cold.
Duck Hunt's a classic. That was literally one of the first
First
games.
Mario.
You said Mario. You took that from me.
No, I didn't. I said Sonic.
I said Mario.
Oh.
Yeah, I had Sonic and Mario. Y'all both said that. And Tetris. That was taken. So, but Duck Hunt was my shit. Yeah, Spit was. Oh, nobody said Spit. Nat said Snake. I forgot about those. All right. Fashions. Hey, start us off.
Fashions? Oh God. Suspenders.
Ooh. That's.
It's on
I
the list.
do not think I did this right because I would
No, I don't-
labels.
These are not necessarily things I feel passionate about, but it's just on my list.
I would
Except
labels.
overalls, Jordans, because they're not going anywhere. How many was that? 3?
Yeah.
Bucket, which I love. I
What?
love bucket.
Oh,
Bucket
bucket
hats.
hats. Yeah,
I love them, but you know.
that is definitely a classic.
How many was that? 4?
4.
Jerseys. Like, throwback.
I definitely did not do this right because I definitely went like full on fashion labels that I thought were classics.
Me
Oh,
too. Yeah.
I mean, I did kind of a mixture of both.
So I'm gonna just say my random ass 5.
Okay.
I went with Tiffany, Cartier, Coach, Rolex, and Oscar de la Renta.
Y'all took one of mine. One of mine was Jordans. Nike, Yves Saint Laurent, Gucci, and Chanel. Those ain't going nowhere.
Ooh, Christian Dior too. Where they going?
I was gonna say Levi jeans.
Yep.
North Face jacket.
period.
The time where everyone had one. Baby fat pink puffer jacket.
Baby fat.
Gucci belt.
Although I did hear a kid tell me that they stopped with Gucci because they were like Gucci's racist. So I don't know.
Yeah,
It might.
Gucci is definitely racist, but it's still classic.
Yeah.
As long as
No, I know, but if the younger
Gucci belt. What?
No, but I was just saying if the younger generation is like we're not because they're racist, then they may some turbulence there. Because if the younger generation is the thing that maintains their legitimacy and they're refusing because they're cancel, there's the cancel culture, there's the cancel kids.
Turbulent or not, they still a powerhouse for now.
True. For now,
Yeah.
that's why I'm like I don't know.
Um,
You gotta survive the culture.
what was my last one? Oh, Chanel
Yeah, we said Chanel. Yeah.
glasses, but I think Wolf said and big dark rims. I feel like every fashion model when they were traveling into the airport was wearing their Chanel glasses.
Right. This is the round that's gonna hurt Zay the most because it's books and we won't get to talk about it. Mina, you want to start us off with books?
Sure. So for me, To Kill a Mockingbird
I knew it.
was really good for me. I'm sorry, Lord of the Rings as a series was just it was higher level. I mean, granted, I was reading it when I was like 12. So for me, it was just a little bit more than what the books were at that time. What else? For me, Children of Blood and Bone, which is a newer series. I loved it. It really spoke to my experience as a Black American who also has very strong African roots, and my love of fantasy. Obviously, the Harry Potter series. I mean, I have a whole closet full of cloaks and wands and certificates of acceptance to Hogwarts School of Magic. So, yeah. What was that, 4? Is that 4?
Yeah.
I need a 5th one?
Yeah.
Try to think. Oh, I'm forgetting the name of it. But it was the book where the kids got stuck on an island.
Lord of the
And then they
Flies?
started killing each other.
Yeah, Lord of the Flies.
What? Lord of the
Lord of the
Flies. There we
Flies.
go. I liked that book.
Okay. Lord of the Flies,
I
I
would go back
definitely
to-
agree. Classic. So I give that a thumbs up. Anybody want to go after, or I'll go?
You can go.
I'll get mine out of the way.
Huh?
I was gonna say I'll get mine out of the way. 'Cause they're not
Go ahead.
but you go. Yeah, actually, you go ahead.
So I had Dear God, It's Me, Margaret, because I still do the we must. Remember that shit. That's my shit. Anything, the Babysitters Club / Hardy Boys, I put that together. Junie B series, because Junie fucking B. A Child Called It, because that was my first, that shit hurt. Goosebumps, because that was like my first little taste of horror. And then I thought of like my nieces when I thought of like the Anansi Spider and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Because you took Harry Potter from me, but those were what I put on my classics list. I felt like Dr. Seuss was like Abby, so I didn't want to put that, but and then like Chicken Soup, the chicken soup for the soul. It takes me back, so that's what I had on my list. Kuchiki.
I had The Giver.
Oof. Definite
and-
classic. Thumbs up.
Anything by Anne Rice, like vampire related. The Chronicles of Narnia, definitely.
In the
Uh, and then, honestly, like anything by Neil Gaiman, but I'm gonna say like Sandman Chronicles personally.
Sandman is really good. Yeah.
And then 1984, and The Bluest Eye.
Bluest Eye, yes.
Okay, since this is so painful for me, I can't do individual books, so I'm just gonna do authors. I literally can't. Anything by Angelo, anything by Toni Morrison, Walter D. Myers,
Oh.
James Baldwin. How
Oh.
many did I do?
That was 4.
4. One more. Nikki Giovanni. Okay, that's it. I ripped it off. We're done.
The Gideon series by the Gideon series.
Yes.
Who is that? Eric Jerome Dickey. Oh my God. Woo, that man.
I can go
So
all day.
fucking talented. All right. This was definitely an interesting conversation, y'all. We definitely did that. So we're gonna leave you guys with a little bit of a taste, a tidbit, a morsel, on the next episode, because what we have upcoming is the 10th episode, and that is a fun game. And we don't even know what the fuck we playing yet, so we're gonna have to figure that out. All we know is we drinking. We be all night.
I'm drinking. That's
Bam.
not be drinking.
We have wine. I'm gonna drink some wine.
We're allergic to grapes.
I can have one glass before my face itches a little bit. I'm sorry,
What is
but it's
this
the
game
person
about?
that's allergic to apples. Did you not eat an apple?
I was allergic to apple 10 years ago. You just discovered you were allergic to grapes.
That didn't answer the question. Were you not allergic to apples when you ate an apple? Yes or no?
No.
That's a bold-faced lie. You know it. Lying ass. All right. Thank you for rocking with the cast of WeHQ. We love you. We are going to raid somebody. I don't know who.
Yeah.
Let's
And shout out to Ajax for joining us in the chat.
Dick ass, she better. We're gonna
Thank
show
you to
somebody some
Natalie and
love.
them. Natalie,
Raid.
Hillbilly.
I don't know who we raiding. Let's see who could use some love right now. Let's check out my boy Sita. He's playing Super Mario. Let's go look at some Super Mario, y'all. So appreciate you guys for rocking with us heavily today. We hope to see you next Friday. Hey, birds. We are going to raid our boy C30. If I could spell his name right.
I'm going back to prison.
Let's verify that he's still fucking live first, because I can't tell. And then we gonna be out in a second. I just want to make sure he's still actually live, because that'll be real awkward if I take us to a person's channel who's actually offline, and then you looking at me, looking at you, looking at me, looking at you. Yes, he's still live. Dope. So we're about to raid C30. We're gonna show him some thick ass love, and then we will see y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Next Friday. So let me hit that one time for the one time for the one time. Yeah. And with that, hold up. Let's make sure. All right.
Okay, I can't keep
We
going
out.
Bum bum bum